And that's us live. Excellent. Well, here we are for another week, and this one's going to be a lot of fun, although maybe a little bit more fun for us than our very nervous guest. So, before anything else, let's introduce that guest. Melanie, please say hello.
Hello, thank you, Ammon and Lee, for having me on. And I am less nervous than I was a month ago.
That's good.
Yes.
Lee, introduce yourself.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I'm Lee Rickler.
Oh dear, that's terrifying. Okay, so the business that we're looking at is Big Uptick Social. The link is in the event, and it's given us quite a lot to work with. But before we get into the site, let's talk about the business itself. Now, I know you've got a lot of diverse experience. How long have you been running Big Uptick, and how long have you been involved in social media generally?
Social media, about 6-7 years, and then the site is a year and a half old. So Big Uptick was launched July of 2013, and on July 4th, actually, Independence Day. That's when I went live with it. And so still building, getting stronger, and no turning back. I love it.
Excellent. So, roughly, I know you've had quite a few clients. Roughly, sort of how many clients do you do in the space of a year at the moment?
Probably, because I do it a lot of my own, I don't outsource, probably about 2 a month, depending on, like, if it's a website build, I do that in about 3 weeks. But that's my sole priority. So the other things, consulting is here and there as needed. So I would say about two a month. So we're still in the baby stages.
Okay, that's good. Have you any idea yet what your capacity is like? I mean, you were saying that a site build can take you 3 weeks, so I presume if 10 clients came to you this week wanting site builds, that's going to be a little bit of a problem right now. Have you got any kind of way of outsourcing should the need arrive?
I would definitely have to either scramble to hire others to help or turn some down. That's the point I'm at right now, because I am at that point right before you have to expand. I mean, that is where I am on the map. Okay.
But you haven't as yet put in contingency plans so that you've got somewhere ready to take that load if it happens.
Well, I have resources in mind, and I have approached individuals that I have asked them, like, okay, when I'm ready, would you be ready? And that is also why I put on the website about I put a readiness chart for clients so that everybody is ready. So time is, time is of the essence, and time is maximized. So I don't have time to convince people that they need the services. They should already know they're ready. So that's the point I'm at. And that chart has helped a lot, because when I do have people come to me, they are ready. Where before, it was like hit and miss.
Yeah, yeah. And it is always one of the biggest challenges. Generally, you are going to find that the work you get paid for is only a third of your time. It's just the way it is. You know, a third of it is going to be the administration generally of your business, sorting out the things you need to do, sorting out your billing, sorting out stuff like that, and a third of it is going to be sales. And you really don't get away from that very much at all.
And I'm increasing, my days are getting longer, so that's a signal to me that I'm at that point on the map. It's like, okay, we have to stretch a little bit, and I can't stretch. Stretching to me means bringing others on.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so what this means is we need to look at which of your product lines, which of your services are the simplest that you can scale up at this stage, which probably isn't going to be the builds, and really kind of work on those, because that will give you the money to then employ somebody to come in. But as I say, meantime, you're probably going to have to put an outsource into place ready to go literally at a moment's notice, because you may only have a moment's notice.
Yeah.
Okay, so which services are those?
There's website building, there's consulting for social marketing, which is further beyond social media. Social media, people think of that as more of a strategist, where I say, okay, there's LinkedIn and Pinterest and all this. Well, social marketing goes beyond that. That's more, that's where you combine the offline with the online, and definitely put a lot more of the basic marketing principles with what you're doing online, rather than just how many tweets do you put out a day, how many interactions do you have on LinkedIn. It's beyond that. Other services include, I'm a help outs provider, and I have 7 listings on there where they range from, I can help with Twitter and LinkedIn and Google Plus and podcasts, you know, more specific, and those are just a half hour at a time. And those people have to schedule at least an hour in advance. So you have the bulk, I guess, would be consulting, which is what I can do most readily if I have time to actually look ahead at what they need, because I don't want to just generalize. I want to be able to customize and answer specifically based on their needs.
Yeah, okay, so it sounds as if consulting and help outs are going to be the 2 products that you can most easily do almost an unlimited amount of time on, with the very minimum amount of extra headaches and hassles in terms of, you know, scheduling and arranging and signing contracts and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So is that about right?
You are correct. Yes.
Okay. So what we need to do then is push the consulting services first. That gives us a position to start from when evaluating the site, and I think that's where we need to go now, because that's going to be the first step for a lot of people in you know, starting the sales process. So let's have an overview of the site. Lee, do you want to kick us off?
Yes, I've been having a look at it. As a possible potential client, my first impression is, but what do you actually do? I can't actually. Yes, there's a lot of words, there's a lot of stuff, but it's not narrowed right down to exactly what you're doing. Then, of course, it wouldn't be me without being all technical about it. One thing I noticed is you said the domain was registered in July 2013. That's cool. But is it actually registered in your name? I couldn't find out. To me, it looked like it was registered with the hosting company. And this is another issue I've got with domain being registered and the hosting with the same people. What happens if one of them goes down and you've got an issue with one? The domain authority is supposed to be about 14 out of 100, page authority 25, inbound links. There's only 2 inbound links. But then I checked out the blacklisting or viruses, malware, that kind of thing. Nothing at all. It's totally clean. And then, of course, we come to the usual ton of scripts that a theme provides, which gives you bad coding, which gives you heavy weight. Now, I did some tests earlier on, and the performance grade was actually 86 out of 100, which ain't too bad. 70 requests just to load the home page itself. But the load time was 4.33 seconds, which is about 3 seconds to about 3.5 seconds too long.
Yeah.
There's also, I did try it out on a phone. It does load because you've got a mobile theme, responsive theme in there, but the way it was laid out, the layout of the actual content wasn't responsive at all. It was just everything was squashed down, but there was elements that probably shouldn't be there, elements that should be there, elements that were in the wrong place, those kind of things. Going on to the navigation, it needs a really good shake-up. This kind of goes back to what is it you're actually doing. There's a lot of, for example, you've got, where is it? It's in the our video gallery, then you've got our image gallery. Well, maybe it should just be gallery, you know, simple as that. So you've got videos, you've got images, those kind of things. Services, expertise, expertise should probably be under the normal about us, that kind of thing. Then there's a lot of talk of us, as in the company, but there's also a lot of talk of Meloney, or what I like to call Meloney mentions. So again, is it you or is it the company? You've got a double-click advert. You've got adverts right in the middle. I never like to see them on a professional site. For the pennies you get, you know, is it really worth having them there? Confusing layout of content is one thing I've written down, and there's quite a few broken links. Processed 354 pages, and I found quite a few broken links in there. Some of them not necessarily broken links. There are one or two that are not necessarily broken. They've just reported back as broken. But then there is one, if I can bring it up, I'm just about going to, Ammon's sharing the screen, so I won't do it. But there is one where it's not actually a link. You sure? Where are we then? Yeah, let me just show you this one just quickly, which is why I'm on the big machine rather than sitting at home. Where are we? If I share this screen here, there was a link down here, right there. So if I show you this screen here, so you've got a link here, but it's actually not a link, it's a load of text. So I'm not quite sure where that's meant to be going or how you've got all that text in there. You'll see it's the same as the text that's just above it. And also while we're there, you've got lots and lots of inline styles. Again, not very good, not very helpful on making it responsive or making it load fast. And of course, there's a ton of scripts. And there are confusing pages that have been indexed. 336 pages have been indexed by Google. Some of them are duplicates. For example, you've got login 5 and login 6, which are indexed, but then they go to 404 pages, so they can't be found. Then you've got login 4, which goes to, I think that's your membership site, the login for that. One thing I would say is never name pages login when you're using WordPress, because if you want to get to the admin page, you can just put /login. That takes you to your admin. So therefore you're confused and use it something else like sign in or members login or something like that. And that's all I've got for the moment.
Okay.
That's just me.
That's an excellent you. I am writing down too as I'm listening. So.
Okay, so what we have is a few things that definitely I would change on the SEO side. One of the first, and this one is going to be useful for everyone in our audience, you've got metaname keywords. To be honest, it's of so little use, i.e. none, that your best bet for SEO is always to get rid of it, because you'll get more benefit from having cleaner code by that many bytes than from, you know, having the tag in there. So definitely.
You're talking about the meta tags?
Yep. Social, the meta tag keywords isn't used by any search engine. So why have it? It can't be used by a user unless it's doing something for you. Get rid of it, because it doesn't do anything for anything that's online. You've got a problem here that I see on a lot of sites, especially WordPress ones. What we have here is a title. It's slightly too long. And then what we have here, oh, we've got another title. So, you know, we've got one too many there. That's going to be a problem. Which one should it be using? We've got a lot of code embedded in the site, and we do have a problem with this one here. You can see we have a script that opens, and then a script that opens, and then we get down to line 137, and we have 2 closing tags. So we've got one script inside the other. That's an error.
You've also got 2 lots of Google Analytics code there as well.
Yeah.
Is that, with the Google Analytics code, is that because when they switched over to Google Universe that I should have gotten rid of? I thought one was replacing the other when they went to Google Universe, but maybe...
You probably find that there's plugins causing that. You've got 2 plugins that both got the same code embedded. If you go for all the plugins, you've got WordPress SEO, you can use it on that if you like. But you'll probably find, what's it called, GAWP, Universal Tracking. You'll probably find if you get rid of that plugin, then that lot will clear up as well.
Okay. So it's causing some redundancy in the coding.
Yeah. Yeah, there's 2 lots. I'm just looking at you. I thought I saw 3. Oh, actually, no. I've actually found 4 lots of Google Analytics code in the home page. I didn't even notice that one.
How do I know which one to remove?
Get rid of all of them
And put one in.
and put one back in.
It doesn't matter which one. It only needs one. You know, just grab it fresh.
Okay.
Go for all the plugins, see which ones have got it, get rid of it. You'll probably find out the theme options have got somewhere where you can plonk some Google Analytics code in as well. Get rid of that as well.
In this screen that I'm sharing at the moment, you can already see what's wrong here, because you don't have to know HTML to see that this is wrong. End, start, start, end, start. Same thing, and it's empty. There's nothing in the middle. So, you know.
Is that the traffic light plugin I have?
No, that's actually from the theme itself.
Yeah.
Because that theme, which is called, where is it gone? Cloriato theme.
Clario, yeah.
Yeah, if you have a look at that, there's a slider in there, and obviously you haven't included any images for the slider.
Yeah, I removed those because I felt those were slowing it up too. So
yeah, definitely.
And I know that you're not a fan of sliders, so
sliders are relevant. Yeah.
There are businesses they really, really suit, and there are businesses they don't. And unfortunately, many of the ones they don't have them. If you have a product that people are going to want to see, very obviously, it's great. If you've got a restaurant and showing lots of scenes of the restaurant and the food and the wines is important, you know, 6 images tell the story, great, have a slider. That works. If you're selling new built homes, showing the home, the floor plans, the views of the room, yeah, that's going to be important. It is the product, and therefore putting it in a showcase is exactly what you want. Unless you've got something like that, a physical product that people need a tour of, it doesn't belong there.
Yeah.
I always think of a slider as kind of a quick virtual tour. And if you don't need a virtual tour, don't put one in.
So in other words, if you're not showcasing your physical product like shoes, hats, houses, gardens, skip the slider. So I've done right by that. That's good.
Even with the physical product, if you've got a wide range rather than just a few images, I wouldn't use a slider again. I'd maybe use a slider to show some different departments, but you know what? If your navigation isn't already doing that, you've got a bigger problem. So the navigation should be doing it. So literally, slider is where 6 views can show your entire product range. And if it can't, don't use it.
One other thing I would say as well, if that's okay, when I checked site links in Google, a lot of the descriptions were very, very generic. So if you just do site colon and then your domain, you'll get everything that's indexed, and they're very. It doesn't really tell me anything about it. It doesn't tell me what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to pull in this comment here because this one's important, just so that there's no misunderstandings. The meta tag I'm talking about is the keywords meta tag, not all meta tags. A lot of meta tags are useful. The keywords meta tag hasn't been used by any search engine anywhere in over 6 years. So it's there purely as a legacy. It shouldn't be there. You will get more benefit by not having the keywords. The only time I will have keywords on any client site or any of my own sites is when it's there deliberately to throw off other SEOs who go around copying people's sites. If I know there's a load of keywords that were a complete waste of time for me, then I can throw them in there and make the competition waste time on those keywords that didn't work. So that's about the only use for them. Other than that, no use whatsoever. You're much better off having them removed. So yeah, just meta keywords. You still want a title, you still want a meta description. The meta description isn't always used by the search engines, but if the keywords that somebody searched for are in your description, it will tend to use that. If they're not, but your page still ranked for that, it will often use the snippet from the page that contains the words instead of your description. There are other times as well where it can still use things like an ODP description, Open Directory Project, or the Yahoo directory description. There are tags for those, the no directory tags that basically mean that your description is used over those, but it can still use on the page snippets. One very interesting thing that a guy called Ron Carnell introduced me to some years ago is that you can have description lengths that are much longer than Google uses. And there are times when that's advantageous. He has a poetry site, and he would often put an entire poem, or at least a verse or two, in his description tag, because it's often that a line or two from a poem that people are searching for, trying to find the poem. It will pick the part of the tag that applies to what they had. So even if you've got 450 words in a description, it will pick out the piece that's useful. But most of the time what we say is keep it lean to have more power in each word, but these days the meta tags are not really very much power on the site, they're just how it's displaying it. The main purpose of the description is to, when a visitor does a search, before they're a visitor, when a visitor to a search engine does a search, they get 10 results. How do they differentiate which one they are or aren't going to click through? By the description. So that's what your description is for. It's for converting the search into a click. It does nothing for your ranking, but when you've got the ranking, it helps you get the click rather than be passed over for another one. So that's always user focus, and think about why somebody is doing this search, what was on their mind to do this search, and therefore use their words, their language. That kind of helps you out.
Well, then when you're doing the meta description, you shouldn't have a lot of fluff words because they're not going to search for fluff. And you just don't want a list of like words, comma, words, comma, words, comma. So it's a gift or a talent to really put that meta description when you're thinking as who will type in these particular phrases on a search.
Yeah. Yeah,
because Google, the search results only show so much anyway. So when you were talking about the gentleman that put in the lengthy poem, if Google takes just
140 characters roughly.
So you're
times over the years, but 140 characters is about the standard on most search engines, give or take. So that's kind of your level.
Well, anything beyond 140 characters, then is it helpful?
Only for that thing where Google, like I say, picks out the one that includes their words. Now, what that means is, if you've got a product that can be appealing on several different bases, what you could do is have 140 characters that was, the most common thing people use this for. The next 140 characters, for that search that's different and differentiates and shows you a different kind of customer who uses this a whole different way, And then the final one, because their keywords will be determining which characters are used, that would be around the words that a third type of person did a search for.
Hmm.
So literally, I mean, you know, you could have a page where you were talking about your social media consulting, where you were talking about your Google Helpouts, and where you were talking about something else with 140 characters around it. And by experimenting, you can find that different descriptions will come up for different searches that return that same page.
So it is advantageous to have beyond 140.
It can be. It can be.
If it's worked.
The tradition is, you know, keep it nice and lean, because that way you're not having to guess which 140 characters Google is picking up, because you've only got 140 characters.
Yeah, okay.
So you don't get garbled sentences where it's taking the end half of one sentence and the start half of another, and neither makes sense now. You know, with poetry, it works because they're quoting the line that they want, and by showing the line on either side, the context around it, perfect. For other things, it's not always as great, so it's one of those things. It's an advanced technique. I mention it just to be thorough, considering we're talking meta tags, but most of the time you want your 140 that's just your appealing subject, you know.
Okay.
And you're using WordPress SEO, sorry, Yoast SEO plugin.
Yes.
So that will give you a guide as well. If you have a look through each individual page, it'll give you a guide of what it's going to look like when your listing comes up on Google as well.
And with Yoast, it does still include the area at the bottom where you're, you know, it suggests that you put in your keyword meta tags. So
yeah,
I think I'm falling prey to still doing that out of habit.
Yeah.
Where
I think that's because people still think they're relevant. I always say that keywords went out with Brittany.
Likes to know what your keywords are so that it knows what it's supposed to be looking for, how many mentions of, etc., etc. To rank it, you know, it's got that little guide of how well you've done. It needs to know what keywords you're targeting.
Yeah.
But that's it. If it helps you to focus, by all means, but honestly, for SEO benefit, take it out. It does you no favors. All it's doing is telling your competitors and your potential customers what words you're targeting, and if any of them you're not number one for, that's not necessarily what you want to be branding. So just a general warning there. Now, when somebody clicks through from search, have you done any testing on what your kind of conversion rates are? Have you any idea what your conversion ratio is at the moment?
Yes, I do. I know that the landing page, you know, that's just like a sign in a window shop. So that has the highest bounce rate. But when they're into the deeper content, then the conversion rate is up there. But sometimes I don't even want to show my first landing page because it doesn't. I have to be so brief, and plus with the first landing page, the home page, I don't get that side panel, so all that's being missed. And then the one time when I did remove that as the home page, then my stats they dipped. So I said, well, I have to have something. So it's like a love-hate kind of relationship with that first page, because it looks pretty, it looks modern, it looks nice, but the value, I only have so much text on there. And I'm hoping that people will click when they're there, but the bounce rate's pretty high on it, just because of the kind of page it is.
Yes, and bounce rates can be quite high anyway, generally. Do you know which customers, or which visitors are most likely to bounce, where those sources are that's driving the bounces?
That's driving the bounces away, the sources? I would say Twitter. You know, when I look at people that come through Twitter on that homepage, they're bouncing off. I think maybe because the mindset of Twitter is like, hurry up and bounce somewhere else. You know, they're
Twitter is, obviously I looked at your social profiles as I was going through the site, because as a business owner, that's one of the first things I'm going to do. Okay, you're selling me this stuff. Let's see how you do it. Let's see what I can learn from you. Twitter's your weak point, isn't it? That's the one you struggle with yourself. Is it the brevity that is the problem there?
Yeah, and I try to have a balance between, you know, how many I follow, how many follows me, because I don't want to follow everybody back automatically. But since I don't get the conversion on it, I really struggle to like get the things onto Twitter in the first place. But it's necessary because when you're in social marketing, you have to have a strong Twitter presence, and that's challenging.
Yeah, the biggest one I go for is actually the balance you want to look at is tweets to followers. And if you've got a lot more tweets than followers, you're not tweeting the right stuff, you're not tweeting stuff that is appealing to them. Change your tactic. And
so you're saying,
I would say get rid of delete some of your old tweets and start looking at what works, what drives follows, what drives interactions, what drives. At the moment, your strategy doesn't seem to be working, or you're not getting to the people that are interested in the things that you're posting. I would say do some searches on the hashtags that people are talking about, look at what those conversations are about, and then, you know, craft some content that is targeted towards that existing conversation. See how that goes, and just, you know, brush it up from there.
Well, if I delete some tweets, then how does that affect? I mean, can't something bad happen from that? I mean, because that's your digital record.
No. One thing, 31 minutes ago, according to this, you tweeted about an introductory offer. And then 6 hours ago, you tweeted exactly the same thing again.
Yes.
So obviously there's something going on there. And also 25th November and the 24th of November, exactly the same tweets again. And there are a lot of business. This is coming from Meloney Hall. This is not coming from big uptick social accounts. So I want to know about you as a person. And I want to see the tweets coming from you as a person, not as a business. And these are all business tweets, really.
Yeah.
They're exactly the same as running into a pub, standing on a table and shouting, "Buy my stuff," and then walking out again. There's no interaction there.
This is why it's a struggle. You know, it's that tough balance.
Yeah. Following web design in the audience has said there's 72 HTTP requests and a total weight. Yeah, it's a big, heavy page. It's a big, heavy site. There's a lot of plugins that maybe aren't so necessary, or that they're doing you favors, but that isn't the point. The point is, does this help your customer, or does it help your business? And if it isn't a plugin that either makes you money or makes your customers want to give you money, get rid of it. I don't care how pretty it is. I don't care that it has all these social shares or anything like that. If it isn't driving action, it isn't what your customers want. If they don't want to tweet, they're not going to tweet just because you've put a button in there. If they're not trying to share, they're not going to do it just because you've put share buttons in. I don't care what the experts say. And so, you know, do think about these plugins. Literally try and get it down to 5 plugins total, and that's including Yoast. So you've got 4. Because the more it is, the better your whole site will perform, and you'll find it's one of those cases, less is more.
That is earth-shattering to me. It really is, because you just flipped my mindset. Because to me, I do want to have my job easier, but what's the end result of that? If the end result isn't getting what brings people in, then why am I doing it? Yeah.
You've got 12 plugins I could find on there.
Yeah.
YouTube Embed Plus, you don't need that. Embed is built into WordPress now. You just take a URL of a YouTube video or the playlist and plonk it on the page. It automatically creates it for you. Jetpack does a load of stuff that you just don't need, and it's such a heavy plugin as well that slows everything down and chucks thousands of plugins. Because don't forget, Jetpack is a plugin that has got to assume every single possibility over lots of different WordPress setups. So it's just got to assume you're even looking on a web on a IE6, for example, an IE7, and on a really crappy old server. So it's got to accommodate for that as well. So there's a lot of stuff that's not needed. You've got Twitter.
So even if I don't, with the Jetpack, even if I don't use all the features, it's still weighing down?
Yeah, oh yeah, they're still there anyway. It's still a big plugin that's got to load up every single time anybody goes to into a page.
Yeah. It's always going to be slowing down the site whether you use it or not. So anything you're not using and getting value from, get rid of it. Just going to bring this one up from Meloney. Now, he says that you can use justunfollow.com to grow your Twitter following. Now, this is the old bait and switch. You follow a bunch of people, you see which ones follow you back, you unfollow. The ones that don't, and even some of the ones that do, because some of them won't be unfollowing. Normally, this is smoke and mirrors. I don't like it. However, because your own social proof is important, getting your follower count up will be seen by some as the most important thing. But you need to understand it's going to grow. It's going to make your actual interaction rate a bit off kilter. Rand Fishkin was pointing out that of all his, hundreds of thousands of followers, he gets at most 2% that see anything he does, or even just see it, never mind interact with it. And this is always a danger when you are one of those people that lots of people follow because they think they should follow. They're following you because they want to be seen to have you in the people that they follow. It's part of their social proof. Oh, I know about SEO. Look who I'm following. I'm following these people, which proves I'm in touch with the industry. And they're not interested in a word Rand is saying. They're only interested in using his reputation to show that they're connected. So you need to understand that can happen a bit, and it can drop your engagement levels per follower. But I would say that Meloney is absolutely right there. Having those numbers is going to count. So, yeah, cheat a bit. I can guarantee you that most of the other people who are the big names in social media have done exactly that. We all remember the days when everyone was doing circle sharing before they turned around and said, "Oh no, it's really bad," but they didn't undo all of the circles they'd done. These things work. Sadly, they work, and I would say that getting the follower count up is advantageous. LinkedIn, of course, you don't have to worry because you're already connected to the 500 plus that it shows as a cap, so you're fine there. I would say you've got some great testimonials there that should be on your website. I look at testimonials on your website, there's one. I look on LinkedIn, you've got 6, 7.
Well, on the testimonial, it scrolls, so there's actually 21 of those.
Yes, there's 21 of those. A plugin for that as well, which you don't need. Have a testimonials page.
Yeah, have a page, have them all there so that they can all be indexed straight away. Less is more.
So just as one long list instead of fancy.
I mean, there's an exact problem there. You go to the site, there's only one testimonial, but of course, we don't know that they scroll through, do we?
Yeah.
Have a page, copy and paste the testimonial in. It's really, it's one flat page that gets pulled up. Of course, include the company name and the person's name, that kind of thing. That all still gets indexed as well. And one less plugin as well.
So the fancy, well, you proved to me that a quick glance through, you said there was only one, but there's 21 of those. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so the next thing is, let's talk about what happens when somebody arrives on the site. So the first thing that, hopefully this is somebody who's looking for a consultant. They've done a search, they've got some consultants, they land on your page. We're assuming that, you're ranking up there for the terms that you want to. Even if we're looking ahead, that's what we always want. How well is the page going to convert? Now, you've got a lot of stuff saying how good you are, and you've forgotten to show how good you are. You've got a lot of stuff which is the hyperbole. We're the best provider, we're the best internet marketing consultants. You know, absolute statements. You need to back these up. You need to either have a quote from somebody else saying that you're the best, or you need to explain exactly why you're the best and in what area. You need to be really specific, because if they've gone out and they've seen an article somewhere else that's listing the 5 best and you're not on there, and you've said you're the best, if you'd said you're the best locally and they're local, great. They can accept that. If you've said you're the best absolute and they've seen 3 other articles that name somebody else as the best and they all agree it's somebody else, you now look dishonest. You now look like the last person in the world they can do business with. Whereas you've just... It's simply, you know, we try and sell ourselves too hard. Don't.
Yeah.
Often humility works better. Often it's much better to say, you know, we are the best agency, or we strive to be the best agency even. Show what you do instead. The thing that's really missing from the site is case studies. Lee, what did you think of that? Because when I was looking through the site, it was screaming out to see what you do.
There's a lot of, you've been weeing all over the site. A lot of we do this, we do that, we're the best, we're not. What I want to see is what you're going to do for me. I don't care who you are as a client in that sense. All I want to know, I've got this problem, how are you going to solve it, and can you prove that you can solve it? And I haven't seen that at all. The other option is that I have to scroll way down just to find out all the we stuff. And then try and find out who you are and what you are and all the rest of it. And there's nothing there that pulls me in that says, they can do this because they proved it, and this person who's one of their clients obviously has said they've done this for me.
Yeah.
Okay. I agree. That's been a as I'm trying to establish what I do, it's a balancing act. It's like, okay, I have to establish my credibility. How much trade secrets do I give? How much, you know, at what point do I sound braggy or too showy? So I think it's still, I am still work in progress as far as expressing what that is. So yes, I totally agree with that, absolutely.
Okay, so case studies. Absolutely one of the first things you need to get on that site before almost anything else, apart from getting the extra plugins off. Those case studies need to be there. You'll find that's a massive effect on your conversion rates. What you need to do is think of the 6 different jobs that you were most proud of in the last year. Get them as case studies. The good thing is you're mostly involved in promoting other people, or that you know that they want to be. So you say to them, look, I'd like to feature this, and give a big fat link to your site. The chances of them saying no are 0.
Yeah.
So, you know, make sure that those case studies are there, and what you'll be doing is, we work with this company. They needed this. Now, you're saying what they needed. Everybody else who needs that thing can now associate with them. You started that journey. Oh, right, I understand this. What we did was this, this, and this. And we worked with them in this way. And we made it easy by doing this, this, and this. And at the end of 6 months, here's what they got. And now, you've walked me through that process. Oh, that sounds exactly what I need. And, well, yeah, I'd certainly like that big uptick that happened six months down the line. Yeah, sign me up. That's what you need.
Well, Ammon, what do you think would be a healthy balance of case studies? How many?
Well, literally, at the moment, get 6 in there and see how it does. And then after that, experiment. This is always the thing. And the kind of case studies do make a difference as well.
I don't know if I can have all 6 by next week.
You want one help out, definitely. You know, at least one help out. It could be that if you've got very different things you do, you might have a couple. But I'd probably start with one help out, one social media, and a couple of web designs. And then 2 more that are just, you know, projects that, oh, I've featured those, but I really want to include this as well. you know, to fill out your 6. See which ones
Okay.
work, which ones are getting the interest, which ones are getting the conversions, because you can track which they've seen, you know, with cookies and things. You can set cookies on your site that say which they've seen before they came to that form, or you can have them go to a form button to get, you know, an application, and it just has the tracking to say which case study they came straight from, if one, and you now know which one actually convinced them. But you'll usually tell just by the kind of work coming in. You know, if you've got 2 posts up about the social media work you've done for people, and suddenly you start getting more social media clients coming through, you know it's working, because that's what you changed. Okay, so definitely getting those case studies, it's so important, because that's the social proof. Other people have bought this, other people have been rewarded from buying this. That makes it real, especially if there is a link to them and we can associate with them, you know, that kind of thing. With testimonials, I always forget those things, you know, Mrs. J, Idaho. That's a terrible, terrible kind of testimonial. It's got to be a name. Ideally, there's a position that goes with it, because we want to associate with them. We want to understand that this is somebody like us or not like us.
With those testimonials, isn't that the type that now some of the testimonials, you know, list their name or website, but others, especially with the Google Helpouts, I didn't want to infringe upon using their full details, because I didn't have them sign a release where like those who testified, give testimonies over LinkedIn, you know, that's they clearly understand that they're doing that, and those that that have fully disclosed. Some people said, yeah, you can list my website on your testimonial, but I don't want my last name. Especially women seem to do that. You know, they just want to be.
The easy place to start there is look for the ones that have thanked you. If somebody says thank you, and you then say, well, that was really sweet, could I use that as a testimonial on my site? The chances, again, because they've said it to you, they don't want to now go back on that, because it looks like they didn't mean it. So rather than look like they're confused, they'll just say yes, with no provisos. So that's one of the tricks, is always look for somebody who's already complimented you and then ask if you can use that, and the chances of them saying no are very small.
And going forward as well, because you're pushing a lot of Hangouts, I would ask for video testimonials and get them on the site as well, because you don't necessarily need the person. They're a real person, obviously. You don't necessarily need their name or link back to their website. Just a quick 30-second, maybe a minute video testimonial, and plonk them on your site. More content, more YouTube content as well.
I thought about putting everybody, making one big film that says thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, with all these faces, and then I could list all their names in the YouTube tags, so that, you know, everybody.
The crowd.
Huh?
The crowd makes them anonymous. Yep. That can really work. Just going to very quickly bring this one up.
Okay.
This could apply. William says, what if the client will not give you a case study because you've given them great results and they don't want the competition going to you? William, this is one of those ones you need to address before it even comes up. I have understandings with all of my clients that, look, you know, if this goes well, I'm going to want to shout about it. I'm going to want to talk about it. If you want this to be a trade secret, that's not part of my normal process. You know, obviously, I shortcut my sales process by having all these testimonials. If you're not going to help with that, you're adding to my next sales process, so I'm going to charge you for the time. So they pay extra for that extra level of privacy. And it's not a huge amount, but they know it up front. Yeah. What I do is I actually phrase that in reverse. So here's the full price with the extra. However, if you're willing to let me use this as a case study, here's 20% off. Now you've incentivized it, it's all positive, and most of the time wow, yeah. So have that. Christopher, yeah.
Yeah.
Christopher brings up anonymous testimonials are relatively worthless, and he also brought up that video testimonials totally rock. Right in both cases.
Very
Okay,
good.
we have 10 more minutes, and we've still got quite a bit to cover.
Oh,
How's that possible?
I've got another 4 pages of comments here.
Lee, was there anything else you wanted to add about the site before I move on?
Only there are a few dead pages. Maybe you've got them in draft as well or not, but they're still being indexed. So I'll go through all the pages, all the draft ones, delete them. All the dead plugins you're not using, delete them. Yeah, I've got here, as I said, some of the plugins you just don't need. YouTube embed, embed is built in, Twitter RSS. They're built into Jetpack, but again, you still don't need them anyway. If you look on your pages, you've got 2 lots of sharing links. So just compress them down. Some of the pages you've got comments on, you don't need them on as well. Again, just tidying little things like that up.
Okay.
To be honest, with a business website, I don't think comments help unless you are building a community. If your business is something like SEO Moz, is a big part of it. You know, that's a huge part of it.
Yeah.
So comments make sense. However, on the tools pages, on the stuff that's actually selling the tools, there's no comments there.
Yeah.
So really think hard about whether you need comments. Often with a business site, your business part and your blog should not even be on the same platform. Use HTML pages and have /blog for your blog, and that's the only bit that runs WordPress. That way the secure issues, the issues of plugins, the issues of speed, all of that is removed from your business pages in the first place. It's only for people who want the conversational stuff. The rest of your site is lean, mean, and a killing machine. You know, that's the way it's going, and that's what I really, really prefer. I think the idea of having to run the whole site on WordPress often it's not something you needed to do.
I did that for ease. You know, that ease, convenience. Regarding the comments, I almost took them off, but when Google integrated it, I said, oh, well, let's see how this goes. And I know that, you know, I'm not getting the really there aren't a lot of conversations happening around the content of my particular website. So, yeah, I could probably just disband comments.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when you had a counter. You know, you've had 4 visits since December 2004. Well, it's pretty sad, really, isn't it? If you've got no comments, no comments, no comments, no comments, obviously nobody cares. Nobody wants to comment. Get rid of it. It makes you look bad.
Oh, it's very hard to have no comments. Usually people are trying to sell me handbags, shoes, all kinds of things through the comments. Yeah.
Well, if I got rid of comments, then I wouldn't need a Kismet, or should I still keep that?
No, you don't need it. No.
I don't need it. I don't.
It's rubbish anyway. But... And you've got a comment plugin in there as well, and you don't need that either.
Okay. Well, that's 2 already. Get rid of.
There's probably about 10 scripts you've just ripped out there completely.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
The good thing is, you know, your specialization is social media, so encourage them to contact you through their social network of choice, whether that's Twitter or Google Plus or LinkedIn, because now you've already got the contact details, you've already got a way forwards rather than a blog comment, which tying that over to a way to actually do business is tricky.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, by all means, you know, put in a follow this here, and if you've been sharing these posts, you know, if it's a blog post and you always share it to LinkedIn and Facebook and G+, hand put in a link that says follow the comment on your add comments on your network of choice with the 3 links that go straight to the article on that site. It's a lot less code, there's no plugin needed, and you've now got activity going on your social accounts where you know you wanted it to be going.
Wow, you guys are just really super good. I am so glad that, I did this.
Are you doing a testimonial for us now?
I will gladly. And I'll have my last name, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is really good.
William's just adding that comments and user-generated content has been looked at strangely. It can be one of those things. You know, if you're not in control of what's going on your pages, you're putting your site in other people's hands. So I mean, you always have to be careful with comments anyway. There are times when it's great, but you know, I've dealt with businesses that were entirely built on user-generated content. After all, Amazon is one of those. If you think about it, there's almost nothing on an Amazon post that's generated by Amazon. It's all feeds from the sellers and feeds from user comments and ratings and algorithms. There's nothing on that post that is actually written by Amazon.
Well, when I get rid of comments, nobody will miss them. That's the way I figure. You know, the world isn't going to say, "Oh my gosh, she got rid of comments." They're not going to say that.
And we have a highlight of exactly the kind of comments that you could be missing. Well, that's different because usually it says "love is like." We had "love is like" video earlier, and now "love is 30%." I think that must be a Black Friday sale or something like that. Is that for some Cyber Monday? Love is 30% off.
Or gain 30% more with the love you already have.
Could be, yeah.
30%.
Okay, we're literally in the last few minutes, so we've given you a lot to work with. I understand you're probably going to want to re-watch this a couple of times to grab everything. I know we had to sort of come at you with a blizzard speed, but
I wrote it all down on my whiteboard.
Excellent. That's what we like to see. Quick tip there, 3 notebooks. The 3 notebook system is this. Things that you can do now that lead directly to profit, directly to benefit, go in notebook 1. This is your working notebook. This is the one you actually deal with on a daily basis. You can keep it neat because you're only putting in things that can be done within a week and that lead directly to money. Notebook 2 is for things that either take more than a week or that don't directly lead to money, they lead to benefit that leads to money. You know, the indirect. That goes in number 2. And you know, it's got to be, it's a bit more than a week, but it leads to money, or I can do it within a week, but it only indirectly leads there. It's still close, but not there. And then there's notebooks 3. And notebooks 3, you write in, you don't read until you've finished both other notebooks. It's there so that you never feel you lose an idea. But the ideas that don't actually deliver anything in the short term or in real money are now, they're safe, they're logged, you can stop worrying about them and do nothing about them and focus on the stuff that actually delivers. And that system really works. It helps keep you focused because you're always working on notebook number 1, you're never overloaded. Notebook 2 is there for when you've got the time, and that's your longer term stuff. Okay? That really does help with getting things going.
Thank you for that, for sure.
Wow, we have managed to fire hose in quite a bit today. I know that we'll be following up next week with a couple more bits and pieces that are kind of giving the background to where we're going. We'll talk a bit more about testimonials, a bit more about what kind of things people need to see as case studies and why they work. And just generally going into the background of that. But before we wrap up this episode, is there anything else you'd like to ask us? Anything else that you feel we haven't addressed as well as we could?
I think you put in a lot of time, and this is very valuable to me. Absolutely. Yeah, Lee had a lot of you know, big no-no list for me, and that's all right because I'm not a coder and I really never go on the backside to see how cluttered that closet gets, and so that sometimes while it's hard to hear, I truly value it because now it gives me, it's just like when you have a professional come in your house and they say, I'm going to declutter this. and it helps the process. It helps you do it. So that's how I value what was told to me today, where you went into the backside of my closet and said, you know, you got to remove this, put this on that shelf, clean it out, toss it out, and the job feels big, but it's just like when you eat an elephant one bite at a time.
Yeah, very much. And you know, one of the core things to really take away from this is it's so easy to throw more and more at things, to think, okay, I'm not getting as much as I want in terms of results, so I'll add in this plugin, or I'll do this thing, or I'll do that thing. Often, less is more. That's always the big takeaway. It's better to focus and test what you're doing is really working, and then if it isn't working, rid of that before you add the next thing, i.e. transition rather than add, because if you just keep adding more and more, you soon get to a position where it gets lost in the clutter.
Yeah, and that's probably the point that I've had 18 months of putting things in the closet. I mean, trying to keep them organized and stacked and reorganized, and so that's what's happened. I gotta fix it.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your time today, and we'll be following up again with you next week as we go further into the details of that. But for this week, thank you very much. Melanie, anything you'd like to say before you end for the week?
Me?
Yeah, anything you're up to this week, or anything you'd like to tell people?
Yeah, I just launched that crazy membership stuff for Cyber Monday. So look at that. I worked so hard on that to get that to function. So give it a look and let me know if it. I mean, I'm very pleased it functioned for me. Let me know if it functions for you. So that's my biggest this week is I did achieve getting it ready to have a discount on my brand new membership to have available for Cyber Monday and the day after. So that's it. That's my biggest raw moment right now.
Lee, what are you up to this week?
Tuesday, 2:30. We've got a brilliant show on UK Biz Hangouts, Content Marketing Essentials, with the gorgeous James Dearsley and enigmatic Amy Harrison. So that's not to be used. Yeah, 2:30 on Tuesday, 2:30 UK time this Tuesday. So I'm really looking forward to that one.
Excellent. And as for me, if you're not following me by now, you obviously don't care. So, thanks everyone. See you next week. Take care.
Thank you.